Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and the iPhone Air has been out for over a month at this point. I've so far decided it's going to be my primary phone this year, but that could change for a few different reasons. Now, I love the idea of the iPhone Air, but it's hard to say if it's actually a flop or if it's something from the future. Recent reports say Apple has actually cut production levels to very low levels, almost non-production levels, but so far it's sold out surprisingly fast in China when it launched. So it's hard to say whether or not the sales are justified or not, if it's better than the 16 Plus was or anything else. But I thought we'd cover the overall durability since I've been using it for a while. We'll talk about battery life, the camera, and much more. Now, the overall design, I love the design, especially when it's off. You pick it up and it looks like it's just a singular slab of glass for the most part. We have very thin bezels on the side, and with the glass, depending on which wallpaper you have set, can fade into the black bezels, or you can see it here where it's more prominent, but either way it feels very much like you're picking up just a slab of glass. It's super thin on the sides, and of course being titanium, it's incredibly rigid, and Apple really nailed the way it feels with the textures and everything else. So it's just super smooth with the matte black on the back, the option that I have, and then of course the glass on the front, the titanium around the outside edge. Now, I love the design with the exception of the camera bump or camera plateau. It sticks out quite a bit here, and I understand you need this for distance with the overall sensor and everything else, but the thing that bothers me the most is the radius to the edges. Now, there's probably a reason they did this, maybe it has to do with strength or something else, but the overall radius not matching the radius of the edges of the phone is something that just bothers me visually. However, you don't really see that very often as you're just picking up the phone, and it's not much of an issue, but it is something that bugs me if I'm looking at the back of the phone. However, that's just nitpicking, and the important thing is really, given that it's super thin, is it durable? Apple says it's their most durable iPhone ever, and so far I have to agree. The Ceramic Shield 2 seems like it's super durable. I don't have a single scratch on it. In fact, I dropped my iPhone 17 Pro Max onto rocks and it just put a tiny little nick in it from about 4 feet. So the Ceramic Shield 2 is holding up really well, combined with the rigidity of titanium and then Ceramic Shield on the back. It seems like it's going to be very durable over time. It's likely it will hold up very well without a case, which in my opinion is really the only way you should be using the iPhone Air. Other than using maybe the bumper on it, it takes away from the overall feel of it just being super thin and premium. But whatever works for you, of course, you can use, but I love the feel of it without it. Given that we have this polished titanium frame, it makes it a little bit more grippy, and of course we have all the normal buttons that we typically do, but I don't have a single scratch on it so far. Using it for a few weeks as my main phone, it's actually held up extremely well. Nothing on the overall camera here. The Sapphire is actually held up really well. I don't have any complaints whatsoever as far as durability, so it's holding up really well. If I had one major complaint, it would have to do with the battery. It's not great for me, and I've seen many report that the battery is pretty good for them. However, I have a lot of things connected to the phone, whether that's my vehicle with a phone key or something else. It seems like it uses up a lot of the battery. So I've been trying to get better battery life out of this. I've been changing my notifications. It seems like it's helped some, changing them so they don't light up the screen and things like that, and it looks like it is helping, but it's just not great so far. So if we go into my battery, you'll see my battery health here. We're at 24 cycles currently, so I have used this quite a bit, but I've had to charge it more than normal as well, and I'm at 100% capacity. If we take a look at my overall battery usage, you'll see here today, 2 hours and 21 minutes, and it says 74% of the battery. I'm currently at 49%. It was taken off of the charger about 6 hours ago or so, and overall it's okay, it's just not great. The day before you can see 2.5 hours, the day before that 3 hours, and I used 100% of my battery. Now, to be fair, I did use this while you connected to CarPlay, sometimes not charging at all, and you'll see today, here's my normal usage. So I'm using messages more today, YouTube Studio a little more, but again, I keep adjusting this and hopefully it's fixing it as far as notifications go. But I will continue to use it, and for me, one thing that's absolutely necessary when I'm on the go is the MagSafe battery pack, because I just need that additional power. So you'll see it's already charging here. It's something that I must have if I'm on the go, because without this or some sort of battery backup, I just don't have enough battery to get through the day. So if it's very critical, I need to attach it, but then it sort of ruins the feel of the phone. So I don't like to keep it attached, but I have it there just in case. Now, of course, we need to talk about the speaker. We have one small speaker right here, and I do think it's a bit of an odd thing that Apple put many microphone holes down here in the bottom, but didn't make room for a speaker like the S25 Edge from Samsung. This is something that doesn't really bother you if you're maybe watching Instagram or maybe you're on TikTok and you're watching something vertically in portrait mode. However, when you go to rotate this and listen to songs or anything else, it's really just not as loud as the 17 Pro or 17 Pro Max or base 17. The top speaker can only output so much, so it sounds a little bit tinny, not quite as vibrant, definitely not as much bass, and that's okay for regular usage and if you're someone that regularly uses AirPods like me. But if you don't use that, you're definitely going to miss the bottom speaker. It's not that much of an issue for me. It's just more of an annoyance that they didn't make space for it. And again, not only did they not make space, it has a smaller battery than even the S25 Edge as well that has both of those things and an additional camera. So I think that's a bit odd. Speed and performance is great. It's the A19 Pro, so if we go into Geekbench, for example, we can see that here, where we actually have 12 gigs of RAM as well, so we'll wait for it to load. You'll see 11.5, and with the A19 Pro, it's just super fast. You can see the history of running benchmarks here. It's not as fast as maybe the 17 Pro or 17 Pro Max, since they have that extra vapor chamber to help cool everything down, but overall, it seems like it's doing a good job doing day-to-day tasks, and it certainly gets hot when it's doing those tasks. Right now, with the screen turned way up, you'll see it's actually all the way up. It's stayed nice and bright, so that's a great thing. We're not really having it reduce in regular temperature, but it's definitely getting warm around the camera plateau. Normally, you hold the phone down here, so it's not much of an issue if that bothers you, but it is getting more warm than you would expect and seems to heat up a lot more than the 17 Pro or 17 Pro Max phones do. Again, that doesn't bother me. Processors work hard and then get hot when they're doing that, and that's not really abnormal, but it is something that I wanted to point out. Now the cameras are great. The front-facing camera there's no compromise with, so it's the same thing we get on all of the iPhone 17 lineup this year, along with the iPhone Air. In fact, I'm recording with the rear camera of the iPhone 17 Pro Max and using an external microphone. So this gives you an idea of what it sounds like, but when we're using video and recording with the rear camera, well, it's just as good for the most part, and photos are great as well. And the last couple of videos on my channel were actually taken with this camera in landscape mode, just snapping a picture here and utilizing this camera. That's what the thumbnail is from on the past two videos on my channel, or the last couple of videos. So this works great. You really can't tell the difference between the iPhones with that. You just don't have the additional cameras to go along with it. Now, cellular and Wi-Fi this year is pretty good. We have Apple's C1X modem that's supposed to be super efficient with 5G, but we don't have millimeter wave. However, with T-Mobile that I currently have, we don't have millimeter wave really anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. You'll see I have a couple bars of signal, and this is good, but it's not as good as the modem that's in the iPhone 17 Pro, 17, and 17 Pro Max. That one I typically would have about 3 bars of signal in the same area. So with its new antenna design on the new 17 Pro and Pro Max, it certainly seems to help. And Wi-Fi, though, is basically the same as any other phone. So with their N1 modem, again, that's efficient, we have the N1, Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and Thread support. You'll see we're connected, and it seems to get great signal, connects fine, and works like you would expect. That seems to work great. That's the same on all phones this year. It's just that cellular modem. That's one of the reasons I may want to switch to the Pro phones this year, as it just seems to be that much better for me. I'll be driving in specific areas, and this will drop signal in areas where the 17 Pro and 17 Pro Max did not. Now, iOS is something that's also a bit concerning right now. Currently on the betas, they're testing changing liquid glass. This one's not on the beta, as I wanted to use the public version for this review, but using it overall has been okay, but it definitely has its bugs and quirks. So going into different things, such as music, of course, is going to be fine once it loads here, of course. So you'll see we're back on 5G. Give it a second. Everything works like you would expect, using social media, using music, playing videos on YouTube, maybe using Instagram, recording with the camera. It's just super fast all the time. I really have no complaints whatsoever with just day-to-day use. Scrolling is smooth, ProMotion seems to be generally fairly smooth, no real issues there. The only issue really is when it gets very hot with sustained tasks. So maybe playing a video game on here, something like that. I don't really play games on my phone, as I typically leave that for the iPad or a gaming PC, but doing regular day-to-day tasks is what I think most people would use this phone for. It's great at that. Now, as far as the future of iPhone, well, I definitely think this is part of the future. Apple is supposedly working on a foldable, which they may have just delayed. Now, the overall design of this is super thin, making way for maybe a dual version of this that folds, and of course, Apple could figure out miniaturizing its hardware and seeing how it works in this to see how it would work in a fold. Many people have suspected this. I would love to see this phone continue into the future, but I'm not sure that it is the future with its current battery limitations and maybe overall form factor. I really like the thin form factor, not everybody does, but for me, this is sort of the ultimate phone other than maybe the speaker on top and of course battery life. So between the battery and my battery just not being great, I really may switch back to the 17 Pro Max, but I just love the feel of this phone. But if you're wondering if you should buy an iPhone Air, well, if production numbers really are that low, maybe you could get a discount soon, although Apple rarely does that. However, production is probably better than the 16 Plus, but we just don't know at this point. So if you're wondering if you should pick one up, well, I could definitely recommend it. It's a great phone, but if you have extreme battery needs, you want to play video games, I would definitely hold off and maybe buy the 17 Pro or 17 Pro Max. Those seem to be much better when it comes to overall battery usage. I think in general, that would be the best bet to go with, or just the base 17. It has all of these features and some, which just is a little bit better as well. I just like this one because it's a little bit different. So that's been my experience over the past month or so using this phone on and off. I really enjoy the phone, and it's hard for me to decide which phone to use this year. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Which phone are you using? Are you picking up the Pro Max? Did you pick up the Air already? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Of course, I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do, and if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.